How many types of bending are possible on press brake?
There are basically three types of bendings are possible. One is called air bending. Air bending is also known as a 3-point bending. 3 points bending also.
Okay.
The other one bending, the second one is known as a bottoming, and the third one is known as a coining operation. So we'll discuss one by one. I will explain you air bending. Air bending is because the entire job is in the air. Only 3 points are in the contact. See, die to edge of the die, so 2 points, and the tip of the punch with the material. Only 3 points are in contact with the material, and the rest is all in the air. So that is called air bending. Now here the punch is presses the job into the die without pressing the walls of the die. So that is why the advantage, it just becomes easy to bend, and the comparatively the load also required is less, because the punch does not have to pass through the surface of the material. So that is why it requires very less load compared to the bottoming and coining that we are going to discuss all that. So that is the advantage of the air bending, you can say. And the mostly in the industries this air bending is used because it's very easy and very friendly and very common for the material. The basic calculation also done in the air bending. See, there is a standard that suppose if you keep your die opening 8 times the thickness of the material that you want to use, then basically that many, like say thickness is 5 millimeter, and your die opening is 8 times the 5 millimeter, so that is 40. So die opening is 40, so you need 40 tons per meter load. So that is the thumb rule. This is only up to the 8 millimeter thickness of the sheet, MS and all that. Now when talking about the load, we always talking about the metric tons. We normally say the ton, so many tons is there, but ton is metric ton. We are talking about metric ton, and metric ton people are writing TONNE. This ton, the metric ton, because 1 metric ton is equal to 1000 kilo. So not to have any confusion and all that, always write, when you write the load, you write 100 empty. Empty means metric ton, because there are other tons are also there. One is called long ton and the short ton. Now long ton is used in Britain, so that is why it is known as a BT also, British ton. Now this British ton, 1 BT or the 1 long ton is equal to 1016 kgs, is bigger than the metric ton. The short ton is used in the US, particularly Western US and all that. The short ton is about 907.18 kgs. So the people, when we are talking about the load, and there should not be any confusion whether he is talking about the short ton or long ton or so. We always consider the metric ton. So always make a practice to write MT. So we are talking about the metric ton also. Now this die opening, I told you, we normally keep 8 times the thickness. So it is up to 8 mm. But if it is above 8 mm, then die opening is changing. And this thumb rule which we are talking about, this 8 times the die opening is there. So load will be equal to the die opening times tonnage. The example I had given you that say 5 mm thickness is there. So 8 times the 5 is 40. So 40 is the die opening. So 40 ton load required for 1 meter. If you want to bend 3 meter, then you need 40 into 3. 120 ton load will be required. Now in this press brake, you should keep one thing in mind, that whenever you are using the full load, the length of the table is say 3 meter. So at least 2/3 of the full length of the table, it must be used when you are using the full load of the machine. Like shorter, like 3 meter length is there, your bed length is 3 meter. So 2/3 of the 3 meter will be 3 into 2 by 3. So it is 2 meter.
2 meters.
So you want to apply the full load. Your length of the job should not be less than 2 meter at any time.
Okay.
Otherwise, it will damage the ram. The ram will be warped. Like anti-deflection device, we were talking about the sag of the table. This will give the anti-sag of the ram. So to protect the ram, you should always use that 2/3 of the full length of the bed should be used whenever you are using the when you're utilizing the full load of the material. If it is a 300 ton press brake capacity, or if it is a 200 ton capacity press brake, so when you are using that full load, this condition must be fulfilled. The second bending type is known as a bottoming. Now, bottoming is unlike air bending. This is a bottoming operation is a combination of both the punch radius and the die opening. These two are critical, and the punch radius must be kept as the desired radius of the job. So these three things are critical, and it must be the job. Now, die opening should be sized or to be selected such that it gives the natural radius that you have taken for the job, and the correct natural radius it gives. And spring back also should be calculated before you start the bottoming operation, because in die opening itself you should give it such a shape that when load comes, the spring bed is automatically calculated in that. Now, doing this bottoming, load is nearly 3 to 5 times more compared to the air bending. So it is not very useful in the industries, and it is recommended that this bottoming should be done up to 6 mm thickness. The third one is a coining. Now, this coining is ultimate. I mean, the material is compressed fully. No need to calculate in spring back, because it is totally pressed and gives the shape which is given in the whatever shape you have the die and punch, it will give. And so sometimes that nose radius, it becomes less than the thickness of the material also. So this condition in this metal is already set. Inside bend radius, usually what I have already explained, that is less than the thickness of the material. This coining operation is not recommended much, and it's not very much in use in the industries, because 5 to 7 times load is required for the coining operation compared to the air bending, and this is recommended only up to the 12 gauge sheet. 12 gauge is around 2.5 millimeter thickness. So this was all about coining operation.